The 2018 Big Ten Women's Soccer Tournament semifinals roll on from Westfield, Indiana. Grand Park at semifinal number 2. Penn State awaits the winner of number 7 Minnesota and number 6 Nebraska. It's time for a Dr. Pepper tournament look. Penn State already in the championship game. Nebraska upsetting the Buckeyes on PKs. Minnesota with a late goal to knock off Rutgers. And hello, everybody. I'm Dean Linke. Always great to be with Kate Markgraf. And Kate, any way you slice it, both these teams playing for their postseason lives.
Well, it's two teams that didn't face each other during regular season, but they are evenly matched. They've had similar seasons, and they both had thrilling upsets in the quarterfinals. It's going to be an exciting game, and both coaches were telling us it's all going to come down to set pieces because we're pretty much the same talent-wise, so it's a watch for those transition moments.
Minnesota has been rocking all season long with April Bakken, the Big Ten Forward of the Year.
She has done everything well. She leads the Big Ten in almost every single category. Head coach Stephanie Golan asked her to take more of a leadership role and be the main focal point of their offense, and she took that charge and has just been unbelievable in conference play, scoring 8 of her goals this season in the past couple weeks.
Nebraska decimated by injury, including their outstanding center back, Sinclair Miramontes. They're counting on Meg Brandt.
Well, Meg Brandt, the under-23 international, has influence on every single aspect of the game. She plays in that structure position, but also key on transition, very good in those tight spaces. They're looking to her to build this offense.
John Walker, 25 amazing years. Stephanie Golan taking the stairs at Minnesota. It's the Golden Gophers and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Semifinal number 2 on BTN coming up next. Soccer on BTN is brought to you by Meijer. Sign up for M-Perks. Get personalized rewards. Save 15% more each year at Meijer. You're just minutes from saving at mperks.com. And by State Farm. Here to help life go right. Talk to a State Farm agent today. Grand Park, Westfield, Indiana. An amazing place for youth soccer in the United States. And once again, your host of the Big Ten Women's Soccer Tournament. Back here next weekend for the Men's Soccer Tournament. The Minnesota Golden Gophers will trot out a 4-3-3 formation.
We'll watch for Molly Fiedler in the middle. Big Ten third team, started every game throughout her career. She's excellent in tight spaces, is going to be key today on transition, as she does such a great job running it back and then looking to slip her forward line in the box.
That's the starting 11 for head coach Stephanie Golan. John Walker, 25 years at Nebraska, and he'll go with 3 in the back.
Well, Nebraska upset OSU with a defensive strategy, but they have incredible offensive firepower up top. And senior Carter and Vegas out on the wing. They both like to run all game long, never slow their speed, incredibly difficult to defend in the waning moments of games. It makes defenders always be wary of where they are and to make sure they don't get beat in behind.
Both starting lineups brought to you by Discover. And in goal for Minnesota, Maddie Nielsen, the sophomore from Washington State.
Maddie Nielsen has just come up huge. She's learning on the fly a little bit. Coach Golan said she's made some mistakes, but as the season's gone on, she's gotten better, been very comfortable coming out for crosses and very good with her feet.
Aubrey Quarter, huge versus the Ohio State Buckeyes in goal for Nebraska.
Well, experienced, talented goalkeeper, quick and powerful, can cover the line very easily, and also is the one that sets defensive play. She's the one that can build out of the back with her excellent pinpoint service.
Coach Walker talking about Quarter with Sinclair Miramontes being out. She has had to step up with her communication as well. Coach Walker, 25th season, took his team to the Elite 8 back in 96 and 99, 3 Big Ten days. He's been to 12 NCAAs and those 2 Elite 8s, and he's been loyal to the program.
And he's one of those coaches that's just, people know him and they trust him. You know, it's, if you get recruited by Coach Walker, he's already vetted you a little bit. And it's almost like getting recruited by Carolina. If he recruits you, then you know you're a good player.
That's an excellent point. Stephanie Golan played at Duke, came over from Army, and one of the top young coaches, 7th season at Minnesota. Both these teams, though, pretty much saying Got to win this Big Ten tournament just to make sure we can get into the NCAAs.
And just an excellent communicator and also good on the fly. Depending on injuries or sicknesses, she's able to coach her team to play versatile shapes to whatever is needed in order to win it.
Yeah, you talk about sicknesses. There was some question in that back line as their outstanding left back, Nikki Albrecht, has been under the weather, but she gets the start. So we'll see if she can get going. Let's take a look at the Bear keys to the game.
Well, after talking to the coaches both highlighted certain things they wanted to focus on. Because Nebraska plays such an interesting style play and formation, Minnesota needs to be patient because the holes and spaces will be different compared to the teams they usually play against in their styles, as well as organized defense because of the speed that Nebraska has. Now for Nebraska, contain the Big Ten forward offensive player of the year, April Bakken. Make sure you always know where she is and have a body on her. And also improve their passing. Hold on to the ball a little bit more, not as direct as they played in the last game.
Nebraska sticking with that three-back formation despite losing two of their starting center backs to injury. Miramontes going down, still recognized as a first-team All-Big Tenner. Shows the quality of her. She's just one of those players you just know she gets it. Fun to watch. The kind you pay to see play. Tough loss. And Coach Walker, I thought he was really good this week, showing even a little bit of emotion, talking about Miramontes and what she's meant to the team. Nielsen, 57 saves on the season, a 1.08 goals against average. She was tested quite often by Amira Ali in that big win over number 2 Rutgers on the road. These teams winning on the road. And as you said, Kate, in the Open, they didn't play in the regular season.
But both these coaches love to scout. I think the beauty of conference play and the reason why it's so tight when it gets to the tournament is because these coaches are so good that they've watched so much tape on their opponents. They're able to break down the weaknesses and then instill game plans to try to exploit those. And we get to see how comfortable Quarter is with her feet. Look at that. Takes the ball off her center back's foot and decides to be the one to help set play. So you're almost looking at a 4-back. Now, if I'm Minnesota, if I'm able to win that ball high, I'm going to look to chip that keeper as quick as possible.
Keep an eye out for that as this one goes on. Nebraska on the turn. Minnesota coming back defensively, though. One of the key changes for Stephanie Golan. Used to go with just 1 6. She's going with 2 6s, played right down the middle. Minnesota's shot from distance. Goalkeeper's out. And it's in. Quarter was out. And a shot from distance for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Right down the spine. And I think it's April Bakken rocking again, the Big Ten forward of the year.
And it comes for that excellent ball. Look how weighted perfectly that was. Cuts it against the grain, beats the defender, knows that Quarter is out of position because she takes such an advanced high line with the power high shot, chips her. That ball would not go in the net if Quarter had a better position, was closer to her line. But credit the tactical awareness for Bakken, giving her that opportunity and converting for a 12th goal of the season.
Bakken has scored 6 of the last 7 Minnesota goals. We showed you the winner against Rutgers to start the show. And Bakken receiving that ball right down the middle. Looked up, you saw Quarter come out. That's a trade of Quarter. As you see their top goal scorers in the Big Ten, April Bakken leads them all.
Yeah, it was just so smart, and it was that first touch. She didn't slow down the play. She knew her team was on transition. Her first touch bypassed the defender, made the defender's momentum go against her by cutting it against the grain, and then doesn't waste time and quickly unleashes a shot, because that cuts down the time Quarter has to get back on her goal line and be in the appropriate position. That's excellent scouting and execution of a game plan. They didn't give that to us in the conference call. You notice that? You know, they hold some of it back? Yeah. That was a smart one to hold back, but absolutely, within the first minute, we said, look how high she is. They're going to chip her. And Bakken does.
That's part of the scouting, though, is falling in line with what you're talking about. You do all the scouting. We've seen Quarter on the Big Ten Network as well, and she does like to play high, and she pays the price. Bakken, quality save there, and knocked over Nielsen. Parries it over the crossbar. It'll be a corner kick, Nebraska.
You see Meg Brandt trying to make an influence. We saw her in the beginning of the game on the right-hand side, using her technical skill to beat the defender on the flank and serve across. There, she's inside the box, able to use both feet to get in line and create opportunities.
So, corner kick here for Brenna Ochoa, the junior from Omaha. She's down the road from Lincoln. Ochoa putting up 2 fingers to signal the play. Looked like it was a near post corner. Deflected off of Minnesota, and they'll get another one. To be taken by number 28, Ochoa. It has indeed been the April Bakken show down the stretch for Minnesota and for Big Ten women's soccer. Of course, that combination between her and Molly Fiedler has been so good. Short corner. A planned play, multiple touches. Minnesota sacrificing everything there to deny that shot opportunity. Player down for the Golden Gophers. Right back up. What a start for Minnesota. See Quarter again, 10 yards outside of the 18. And Nebraska got a big win over Penn State. They tried to chip Quarter several times, and she was falling back and was able to parry a couple over the crossbar. She just couldn't get to that one as Bakken.
There was too much power on it. I mean, I think you want to be accurate because you want it to dip just in time, but if you don't put enough power on it, a goalkeeper that's as practiced as that in the recovery run. I'm really surprised they allow Nielsen to wear that goalkeeper jersey. It looks like another player on defense to me. I just got confused. I was like, what?
Yeah, short sleeves as well.
But Quarter is so practiced in her recovery runs that you had to hit that perfectly. So as much as we're saying Quarter's out of position, yes, but Bakken had to hit that perfectly with enough pace in order to capitalize on that opportunity.
Kenzie Coons, who played more of an attacking midfield spot against the Ohio State Buckeyes, has moved back to more of a holding midfield spot in this unique formation for Coach Walker. As they kind of play a little bit of a box in the middle with 2 holding mids, 2 attacking mids.
And with the other unique part, we saw a 3-5-2 essentially in the last game, is that on offense, or when they're building, it becomes a 4-5-2 because Quarter becomes the other center back. And that's what makes it really interesting and unique for players to figure out how to go up against that style of play, because you do not see that. I have never seen that in college soccer other than watching Nebraska play.
Yeah, true sweeper keeper back there in Minnesota. Like you said, knew it. Here's Bakken. She's the goal scorer. Took it from Fiedler. Looked up, saw Quarter off, and she's fouled there. Now it'll be a dangerous free kick for Minnesota. Bakken making things happen. And as you said, the majority of her goals coming in Big Ten play, including the Big Ten tournament. Scored against Rutgers and scored against Nebraska.
And that ball comes in for Fiedler. Look at the pace of that. Excellent touch with the right foot, a cutting touch, and then just the pace on it is what beats Quarter. It maintains its elevation the entire time, doesn't peak over, but it's the speed at which it hit it, which is the reason why it could beat Quarter, who is, she's like 6'1". So that was just the one area that was open on that side, and Bakken just delivered it perfectly.
Big Ten Forward of the Year. Top of the 6, headed out of there by the forward Carter, picked back up by Bakken. Fiedler try to switch the point of attack for Minnesota. There's Albrecht. Not feeling so great, but Kate, you talked about it. You won the Big East Defensive Player of the Year in the tournament when you were under the weather. It's just that adrenaline going, right?
Okay, so let's put it to a really famous athlete. Is Michael Jordan. When he had his best game ever was when he was vomiting right before the game because he had the flu. And there's something to be said about when you're no longer worried about how you perform and you're more worried about not getting sick on the field and you're just playing, you play without restrictions or expectations. And once you remove those barriers, you can have some unbelievable performances.
A little touch back here to Fiedler. Maddie Castro. Castro, part of this great senior class that Stephanie Golan is so proud of. Minnesota with the 1-0 lead, trying to keep possession. Semifinal number 2, Erica Dombach's Penn State Nittany Lions getting it done. An own goal against Illinois. 1-0 moving on. Illinois may have done enough, though, to earn a ticket to the NCAAs. Nice season for Janet Rayfield and the Illini. Back-to-back years, the Big Ten Women's Soccer Tournament has been in Westfield, Indiana. Grand Park, just outside of Indianapolis. Soccer field after soccer field out here. Some of the biggest youth tournaments in the nation are held right here at Grand Park. The ball by Minnesota, sliding tackle by Nebraska, but they'll say offside, though. They'll come back to Nebraska, making that run over there. Patricia Ward, the freshman from Virginia. Take a look around Grand Park. Grass fields, turf fields, soccer fields, one after another. The Indy 11 professional team also trains out here. Their offices are out here. And the biggest thing is that weather shot right there, though, because last year, Kate, it was an all-day affair with some bad weather.
It was brutal. It impacted the game. It impacted performances. It caused a delay in the championship and moved inside, in which Penn State won. Remember, the opponent, I believe it was Northwestern, disappointed because they had the momentum in that game. And that's the beauty of the Midwest. You never know what the weather's going to bring you, and you have to be pretty adaptable. And if you get high enough seed against someone from the West, they do not know how to play in this weather, and that's when it becomes an advantage. Especially when there's snow on the ground, then they have no idea how to play in the weather.
The College Cup this year will be in Cary, North Carolina. At Soccer Park. Turnover. Fiedler looking for options. And takes a shot again. Testing quarter. No doubt, you called it, Kate, part of the game plan. It's how the first goal was scored, and she wasn't even off her line that time, and still a rocket shot.
No, and Fiedler can strike from distance, realizing that there isn't really anything open. The reason why nothing's open and Fiedler had to take that shot is Minnesota attack is losing a bit of discipline, and they don't have that high outlet up top. Everyone's checking back to the ball, so you don't have anyone to ping it off of. So in that case, Fiedler was the highest central player there was, and taking a shot was the only option, even though Quarter wasn't off her line on that one.
Molly Fiedler, third team All Big Ten. Phenomenal career, 3 goals and 7 assists in her senior campaign. Faith Carter putting all kinds of pressure. She was second team All Big Ten. Transfer from TCU. Came in off that transfer, didn't play a whole lot, but stuck with it. Coach Walker has been very pleased with her emergence, not just as a goal scorer, 9 goals and 2 assists, but with her defensive pressure with just one lone forward up top. See Albrecht struggling just a little bit. Again, word before the game, just not feeling all that great.
And Albrook asked to do so much on that flank, going toe-to-toe with Vegas. And that's something to watch as the game goes on, because Vegas wears down opponents, able to hit top speed from her first run to the last run. And you see her start to pull away from teams and pull away from defenders from the 70th minute on. So it'll be interesting to see if Albrook makes it all game, how that little battle on the flank comes out.
John Walker, 25 seasons. Asked him for his pitch, or even the Big Ten's pitch for the NCAA tournament. He said, you know, I've just made it the business of focusing only on my team and my team only, and we got to win this Big Ten tournament to get back to the NCAAs. He did talk about it in his 25 years to try to build off experiences, but this one's been a little different, right? 4 starters out with injury.
And then you have 4 freshmen starting that didn't expect to be starting or play as many minutes as they had due to those injuries. So everyone else has got to step up and compensate for those skills and that whatever those players brought, and create their own type of style of play and how they can make an imprint on the game. So as unlike Penn State and unlike Illinois, who we saw, which are basically fully formed teams, Nebraska is one that's now trying to find a new footing and a new style of play, a new identity with all the changes due to injury. But there is something about an injury bug, and it is contagious on certain teams. You hear about it all the time, where one player goes down, then another one, another one.
But here they are, surviving penalty kicks against Lori Walker Hawks, Ohio State Buckeyes, another team with great credentials with those 5 wins or ties against top 50 RPI teams. They had a late surge as their team started to come together after suffering some injuries. Throwing for Nebraska, down 1-0 early. Score from Bakken, from Fiedler. It's Fiedler who will drop it back. Athena Kuhn, the sophomore from Colorado Springs. Faith Carter putting pressure. Carter looking for a white jersey. It'll fall, shot. And Nielsen had it covered anyway. Shot went over the crossbar for Nebraska. Shot coming from Kenzie Coons.
And this all comes from Meg Brandt's defensive ability. Carter's touch gets too far away from her, even though she was toe-to-toe with the defender, able to bring it back, gets a deflection, and goes straight to Coons, excuse me. Just gets underneath it. Trying to be too accurate there, trying to make sure it stayed on frame, and just ended up roofing it too much. We get to see that defensive pressure that Coach Golan from the Gophers talked about. It's like we just had to learn how to manage that. And they got lucky. They avoided a more dangerous opportunity from that.
That's Nebraska's first shot coming from Coons, a second-team All-Big Ten performer. Brandt. That Brandt battle in the middle there with Emily Heslin, TJ McKendrick, and Molly Fiedler is going to be a good one, particularly with Nebraska down an early goal to Minnesota. Cornhuskers headed into the 18, and a whistle will come back to Minnesota. Maddie Nielsen. Carter. Meg Brandt. Vegas. Carter, good little drop there to Brandt, and her left foot deflected. That's twice where Minnesota has just sacrificed their entire body to stop a Nebraska shot. Deflect it out. It'll be a corner kick, Nebraska. Been a big fan for years of Emily Heslin. She has got a rocket shot. Good old-fashioned number 6 holding midfielder. Part of this senior class where you talk about Coach Walker's emotion about the injury, Stephanie Golan's emotion toward the senior class and wanting them to play more soccer. Choa with the corner kick. One of the seniors, Heslin, with the clearance. Played quickly to Grace Brown. Brandt has it taken away by Minnesota, and that means Bakken time. Bakken, after she could have held on to it just maybe for another second, Kate Markgraf, making a nice run was Maddie Castro.
Now, Castro wasn't as high up as I think Bakken believed her to be, so that she could perhaps have the same success that she did on the last counterattack. It's interesting how Nebraska is setting up for corner kicks. They almost have more players outside the box looking to pick up that clearance or that second ball and shoot from distance they do have inside it. But it also means without as much pressure to try to get an opportunity on goal in the box, it's easier to clear a ball to your most dangerous player on the field, who's Bakken.
Carter. Picked up again by Heslin. There's Albrecht and Uvegas. Uvegas down the right side. Albrecht comes in. Good ball from Uvegas, but picked up there by Nielsen as Carter had come off of her near post run back toward the middle, and it goes to Nielsen.
Get the speed, see the speed of Uvegas. It's that defensive pressure that's creating attacking opportunities for the Cornhuskers. A nice touch that cuts in, gives her the angle to get her feet properly set, and well defended by Peterson and Kuhn to get in the right spot against Carter. Carter had to do a little push in order to even have an attempt to try to get the ball.
Vegas earning a throw-in. We said it already, the fact that number 7 can put on a game. Senior from Bartlett, Illinois. You talk about injuries. She has overcome so much, making third team all Big Ten. Even on Minnesota, Emily Peterson, who last year suffered an ACL, she was back in less than 8 months, back on the field for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Fight from Dina Kuhn, who never played center back before arriving in Minnesota. Now a starting center back. In fact, her emergence allowed Stephanie Golan to move Albrecht back out wide to the left back when Emily Peterson returned. Here is Emily Peterson. No brace. Just out there as good as new. A pretty good ball to Ward. Ripped away by Uvegas. Vegas will lose it. Patricia Ward. Ward staying with it. Olivia Brown. Big shoes for Olivia Brown, the freshman from Iowa. Now that center back in that back three. Penn State awaiting the winner of this one. Nebraska actually beat Penn State at Penn State on a Uvegas goal. In the 24th minute, Minnesota lost to Penn State. Carrie Abello, who did not play today for the Nittany Lions, scored 2 goals in that game. Of course, there's been some great Penn State Minnesota games over the years. Heavy touch that time from Heslin. Choa backwards to go forward. Look at the pressure from Minnesota coming with 3 players.
Well, it's perfectly set up defensively to not allow any channels or gaps open to play through, to make sure everyone has body on, so you could do exactly that, win the ball in the dangerous midfield and then explode on the transition while they're stretched out.
That was Fiedler. I thought she was going to shoot. She gives it up last minute. It was Fiedler with the rip. She finds Bakken, who has come all the way back. Castro. Just 1 goal, but Stephanie Golan singing the praises of how she stabilized that front 3, and perhaps more again defensively than anything else.
She has that ability to play other people in. She's one of those players that's able to connect others and make it a more dangerous attack, because she makes it unpredictable with her technique on the ball. She can lay those nuanced balls, allowing others to have opportunities on net.
Selena Numador going to check into the game. Sophomore from Wisconsin, Mountaintop Christian Academy.
Substitutions for Minnesota. Number 16, Megan Gray, replacing number 7.
Looks like Marissa Vining's dad also going to come out of the game is Catherine Billings. We were told she might start. And so they're going to, switch formation, as actually coming out of the game is Nikki Albrecht, and Vining's dad just going to switch. And that is what, in fact, Stephanie Golan told us this morning. If Albrecht couldn't go, she gave it a run, but really not feeling well. And you could tell.
Yeah, it looked like a grind just to be out there, didn't it? Just had her head down. And then plus when you're playing against Vegas and the style which Nebraska plays, in which they want to build up that side, just didn't have the energy to go.
Watching Quarter and knowing how far she comes out, and you start to think about some of those bombs we've seen over the years from Heslin, and you know Bakken can also hit it. If they somehow can win that first ball when she's that far out, they might Carly Lloyd it.
Well, they're playing for that, aren't they? They're allowing the backs to get the ball, or Quarter get the ball, and allowing that entry pass into the midfield, and then they're jumping on it. They're baiting them to do that. And they're dropping off enough defensively on that back line that that's a 65-yard ball to hit, so they're not able to bypass the midfield with the long ball. So it's a well-scouted Nebraska team by Coach Golan for the Gophers.
Nebraska going to work the left side now. Sent in. Carter dummied it, hoping a white jersey was there. Vegas just behind the ball. Vegas again. Vegas is one of those interesting players where you can see her kind of run a team from a outside mid position, right, which is hard to do, but she somehow is able to do it.
She's able to hold on to the ball, and she recognizes when she should go end line and when she should connect with others. And she's always that outlet from a wide space. So when she sees Meg Brandt, who has the freedom to go wherever she wants, when she sees Meg come over to her side in a high position, then she drops off a little bit.
Stephanie Golan, new coaching staff as well. Crystal Coleman-Seidel, who was such a key part, not only as a player in her final year, but the coaching staff forever. Becky Fletcher, Molly Rouse, who played on the staff. That's Allie Lipscher, the goalkeeper coach. Here's Bakken. You think about Penn State, Erica Dombach and Ann Cook, and their coaching staff's been together forever, and Stephanie Golan talking about Crystal Coleman said that was like the same person, right? And the jobs were getting done, and you got to make that adjustment as Crystal Coleman decided she wanted to take a shot at a head coaching job.
Yeah, the transition that they've had on the coaching side does have an impact on the players in the sense of if something doesn't get, some responsibility doesn't get met because the other thinks the other one's going to do it.
Carter, it's open, and she missed it. Carter had broken in. Nielsen had committed, went down to the ground, and Faith Carter had a chance to make it 1-1. The goal was open.
Imagine if Carter was able to convert that opportunity on the transition moment. Minnesota's not paying attention. Excellent through ball to Carter. Carter, that is a good touch. Could she have just stayed on her feet for 2 more seconds? Ochoa plays that through. That is an excellent first touch. Just loses her balance. Didn't quite have the presence of mind to know that she had a little bit more time than she did. Not to take an extra touch, but more to get her feet right and planted and her hips turned in order to get that on goal.
What a smart play by Brenna Ochoa. Those are the little moments that you love, as you said, taking it quickly, playing it through, finding Carter. And Carter, you feel like 8, 9 times out of 10 is going to be able to finish that. Minnesota still with that 1-0 lead. Fiedler on the turn. This time no problem for Aubrey Corder. Wow, Nielsen was beat. She was down on the ground.
She did the right thing, though, because her defense was out of sorts. Their 2 center backs were nowhere where they needed to be. They were too far pushed over to the other side, which created that huge gap. So then she almost had to be that person to come out and cut down that angle centrally. That was making the best of a very bad defensive situation. But think about it. She did enough to buy her team time to put some sort of disruptive pressure and put it all on Carter, and Carter wasn't able to capitalize on it.
That's a great point. It wasn't like Carter kept her run straight. Nielsen forced her out wide and perhaps off balance, and part of the reason why she just could not put it between the 2 sticks and the crossbar, and it's still 1-0. Just joining us, April Bakken, the Big Ten Forward of the Year, with an early goal. Her Big Ten leading 12th of the season. A shot from distance as Aubrey Corder was just off her line. Let's take a look at April Bakken in the 3rd minute.
Well, Molly Fiedler realized that there's gaps in between that back line. Bakken with an excellent touch to separate herself from defenders and enough pace, height, and power to beat Corder, who is off her line.
Culture and class from Bakken, also from Fiedler, playing it into space. And Bakken did not have to slow down her run. Hit it with power, but also hit it with accuracy under the crossbar and over the arm of Corder. 1-0. Grant, 3 goals and 3 assists. With all of the injuries, we pretty much asked directly Coach Walker, if we were producing this game, who would you put the spotlight on? And he went right to Meg Brandt, and not about the pinball machine type numbers, but just about being a stabilizer.
Just her ability to receive the ball under pressure. We see her often with someone always on her back, because she goes and plays in those tight spaces, and you can play to her with pressure on her back, and she holds on to it.
Weiningstad, who's gone from right back to left back. Looking for McKenna Beisman. Beisman will run out of real estate. The Cornhuskers, a year, even in 25 years for Coach Walker, unlike any other. Sinclair Miramontes, first team all Big Ten, first class. Tore ACL a few games ago. Dakota Chan, a great freshman and starter. Kayla Lobo, and of course, Caroline Built. She can play, but because of her injury, can't play very much.
And she can't go the full load, can she? So just imagine the adaptations that every single one of these players is having to make because of that. And people that aren't used to shielding responsibility now have to. They now have to be the ones to lead the team. And starting 4 freshmen against Ohio State and coming out victorious, that is a huge thing to be proud of for this team.
Ochoa. She's been very good for Nebraska so far. Brenna Ochoa, the junior from Omaha, wearing number 28, takes the majority of the corners and probably will make the run over to the far corner. As you see the referee saying more subs can come on for Coach Walker. And Caroline Butte right on cue. Can't start anymore, but she's in the game wearing number 17. And Ochoa taking her time here on the corner, letting Butte get in front of the goal. 4th corner of the game for the Cornhuskers. So built into the game, and she will be a target here for Ochoa. That's going to hurt. So Carter not able to put it on frame, and then a missed opportunity on a corner kick.
Ochoa has been so good with her service, getting it in a playable space. That one just mishitting it. Trying to look for the near post flick on, as so many numbers converge towards the ball that it might create opportunities on that back post if the ball is able to filter through on the flick from Carter.
Fiedler always seems to find the ball. Vegas. You could hear her talking with Brandt over the top. Onside. Flag stays down. Good run from Minnesota. Beisman crosses it. And that went off the feet there of Zugay, but in a defensive effort, so Porter allowed to pick it up. Ashley Zugay into the game for Nebraska. Vegas goes out of bounds. John Walker directing traffic, bringing on some subs to see if he can sneak in the equalizer here. Plenty of time left in the first half, 8:20. Emily Peterson, back from that ACL surgery, and she's been big for the Golden Gophers. Well, Kate, semifinal number 1. As it was 0-0, but Penn State had the majority of it, so I asked you what Janet Rayfield was going to do to try to answer. I'm going to ask you the same things that relates to Coach Walker. The difference is they actually did get a score 1-0. What is Coach Walker going to say to his team at half?
Listen, we've had opportunities to win this game, and because we didn't capitalize on them and put them away, we're now still down. And Minnesota's sitting back because they don't have to come and attack. We need to take advantage of our opportunities. So continue doing what we're doing. Play the long ball, look for Carter and Brandt. Stay as close to Carter as possible because she's laying it off to you as a lot of the times. And look to take your own shot. We see Brandt able to build up. She can strike a ball, be a little bit more selfish, and create right underneath her.
Shot. And you can tell part of the game plan is a lot of first touch shots. And you see one right there from Beisman, freshman from Minnesota.
Look how much space is in there right behind with that 3-back. Beisman continues her run. Well done by Nubador to find her. Hooks it. Doesn't strike it correctly. Just a bit of impatience.
Well, you go back to the thought of those injuries. The biggest one, of course, to Mira Montez. And then all of a sudden he's got to turn and go to Olivia Brown, number 22, a freshman, and say, hey, you've got to be the center back of a three-back system.
Of a three-back, which is extremely difficult because you have more space to cover. So if you don't get your organization and angles right, you will get punished because you're not allowed to go and check with your player in a three-back. You got to keep your spacing because you have to cover the space that 4 players normally do. So your ability, not only horizontal, but vertically to get that spacing right, it is a skill that takes time to learn.
Well, when we see the highlights at halftime, you're going to see Bakken spin Brown and create all kinds of space to then do what she needed to do to take advantage of Quarter being off her line. Quarter. Kate Markgraf talked about it, that sweeper-keeper mentality with 3 in the back, way out. They play it back to her to start the offense. Over the top they go with a couple passes, but Nielsen has it. It's the 14th all-time median between these two teams, and it has been tight. Huskers with a slight 7-6 series advantage. As we told you, they did not meet this regular season. They met last year. Minnesota pulled out a 1-0 double overtime victory. Minnesota's actually won the last 4 consecutive matches, so the Golden Gophers have closed the gap, right? One time it was 7-2, now it's 7-6. Nebraska with no shots on goal as Faith Carter was not able to get that one on frame for the season, almost 5 a game. However, semicolon, Nebraska does have 3 come from behind wins this season, but you can't win if you can't get a shot on goal, right, Kate? So they got to get it going.
Well, I can see why they can come from behind because of the nature in which they play. They play a lot of long ball and are hoping for that first and second ball. I mean, the first one to it, or being a good defensive organization underneath to pick up that second ball. That is so difficult to play against because you could be in the perfect shape, but you have to come and cover whenever there's a long ball, which pulls you out of shape, and then you have to hold onto it while they have a lot of numbers pinning you back in order to build out. So it forces teams to react if they can't win that first ball, which is incredibly hard to do for 90 consecutive minutes, which is why it's an effective strategy.
Super difficult to do. Minnesota making another change. Kate Mackenzie Langdock, sophomore from St. Michael, Minnesota. St. Michael Albertville High School. Of course, you grow up in Minnesota, you are loyal to the university, and Golden Gophers have played great soccer over the years. They get the top players from the state of Minnesota. There's been some good ones over the years, and you think about the Colemans, both boys and girls, amazing family from Minnesota. Savannah Vegas. Wow, shot to the nose there. You see the bloody nose for Natalie Cook, the Canadian. Coach Walker's always done a good job of finding top Canadian prospects coming into the game. Hannah Young. Natalie Cook. There's a lot of blood. Corner kick here for Nebraska.
Well, Natalie Cook, right, heads the back of her teammate Brandt, and immediately that nose is gushing.
Ochoa takes the corner kicks both sides. Driven in. Brandt Excellent effort. Will give Ochoa another chance to send one in. That's a good ball. Carter heads it, but not on frame. What a ball. Ochoa, for me, has been the best player for Nebraska. She has been everywhere in good service.
Well, she's definitely making an influence on the attacking side with the weight of her passes, and the delivery into tight, dangerous spaces has been fantastic. Perfectly weighted, allowing players to do something with it. That was the first one. Unable to connect. Meg Brandt keeps this alive, passing out wide with tons of pressure coming on her. She's able to drive the ball, and Carter unable to whip it and keep it on net.
Coach John Walker calls her a security blanket for the team. Minnesota with 5 shots, Nebraska with 4. Minnesota 3 shots on goal, Nebraska still with 0.
Until the end of the first half of play. 1 minute.
All right, here we are, less than a minute remaining in the first half. The Big Ten Forward of the Year, April Bakken, with the only goal so far. Olivia Brown. Fiedler can't run it down, cleared by Nebraska. Nebraska, just Faith Carter kind of falling off the ball, shot away from tying this one up. Fiedler, final seconds. There's Ochoa. Knock it out of bounds, but through 45, your number 7 seed, Minnesota Golden Gophers, led by some outstanding seniors, including the Big Ten Forward of the Year, April Bakken.
April Bakken able to capitalize on the best opportunity that Minnesota has had, recognizing that quarter was out of the net and able to place it perfectly. Now for Nebraska, they're creating chances. Faith Carter is finding the ball. If she's able to convert on that, that should make for such an interesting remainder of the game, because Minnesota's going to have to come out and play a little bit different.
Yeah, they know Nebraska had some opportunities, but Nebraska not able to get any shots on goal. Stephanie Golan saying they're playing for the seniors. Molly Fiedler with her 8th assist of the season. She's a senior. She found her fellow senior teammate April Bakken as the all Big Teners delivering with a 1-0 lead. Minnesota on top. Bakken with the only goal of the game. 1-0. Golden Gophers.